Big Ben Roethlisberger restructuring his contract this season with the Steelers. Pittsburgh announcing that moments ago this afternoon. They had set a deadline for about 13 days from now to get this thing restructured so that his contract wouldn't hit against the cap for over $41.5 million. So it's likely a big pay cut for Big Ben, but he has signed a new contract for next season heading into his age 39 season. Big Ben saying, "I'm grateful to be at this stage of my career and more than happy to adjust my contract in a way that best helps the team address other players who are so vital to our success." He went on to say, "I love this game and love to compete, and I believe this team and my ability to deliver when called upon. It all starts with great preparation, and I am ready to go." Let's bring in our senior NFL insider, Jonathan Jones. JJ, we don't know the exact details of the restructured deal, but what would your educated guess be?
Yeah, obviously this was something that was going to happen. The Pittsburgh Steelers had made it very clear they wanted Ben Roethlisberger back for 2021. They just didn't want to pay him what would ultimately be that deal, including his $15 million roster bonus that was due a couple days after the start of the new league year on March 17th. And his cap number was, of course, at $41.25 million, the highest in the NFL. So they had to essentially put an extension on it that is really just filled with dummy years. And this is an accounting trick that every NFL team does. The Steelers don't love to do it, but they had to do it in this case because they'd really kind of kicked the can down the road with a number of restructures over the years, including last year for Ben Roethlisberger. That's how his cap hit got so high. And of course, they were never anticipating the salary cap going down to about 180 to 185 million, as we are expecting in 2021. And those numbers will be coming out here very shortly in the next couple of days. So again, probably 3 dummy years on the end of his 2021 deal. That number is certainly going to be reduced greatly. He's going to have probably a very low base salary. He's going to get a signing bonus up front, no doubt about it. And that should reduce his 2021 cap hit. Again, educated guess here, but from 41 and some change to mid-20s or so. So they should be able to get an immediate $15 or so million in cap relief for 2021, and it is desperately and sorely needed for a Pittsburgh Steelers team, very much believing that they are still within their championship window despite how poorly they ended the 2020 season.
Yeah, started 11-0, but Big Ben lost 4 of his last 5 starts. They don't have a playoff win in the last 4 seasons. Is this the final year, in your opinion, for Big Ben, or could we be in this same spot next year, kind of going on a year-by-year basis depending on his play?
Yeah, the Pittsburgh Steelers are surely hoping that this is it. This is really based on his play last season. This should be it. I still think that he does have gas in the tank. He's not a completely shot quarterback. But the Pittsburgh Steelers have also formed an offense around Ben Roethlisberger and sort of his deficiencies. There's a reason that he was one of the fastest in the NFL from snap to throw. You know, he's not nearly as mobile as he was 10, 12, 15 years ago. So just go ahead and get the ball out there in space to your fantastic wide receivers and let them do the work. And so that's what the offense is probably going to be again in 2021. But they must, Chris, get a run game. They have to be able to establish the run a little bit better than they did throughout last season, where they were absolutely putrid on the ground. And what do you know? James Conner is an impending free agent. Again, they needed a lot of cap help, and this was really the largest and most obvious way to get that cap help. You look elsewhere, and they have Bud Dupree that they're going to have to make a decision on. Do they have enough money for Juju Smith-Schuster, or is he going to hit the open market? There's Avery Williamson as well. They have Alejandro Villanueva, their left tackle, who is up. And, of course, Pouncey just retired, so you don't want to lose your top 2 offensive linemen in the offseason and then bring back your 39-year-old less than mobile quarterback for what is certainly going to be his last hurrah. So I would have to imagine that they are going to find a deal to bring back Villanueva. A couple of other places, they can certainly get a contract extension for David DeCastro to get some cap relief now. And then another one, Potentially a contract extension for cornerback Steven Nelson, who's been playing very well through his first 2 seasons with the Steelers. So there are a couple of places that they can find some money. You may even cut Eric Ebron and save about $6 million. There are opportunities and places for the Pittsburgh Steelers to find that money. But right now, no doubt about it, they had to free up that about $15 to $20 million that they ultimately will with this contract extension for Big Ben.
Maybe this is a dumb question, but I'm going to ask it anyway. Why would Big Ben agree to this? I mean, was it put to him like, if you don't agree to this, we're just going to release you? He would still get all, if not most, of the money, right?
Yeah, and listen, he said very quickly after the season that he wanted to come back. He didn't want to be done, and he's gone out, as you mentioned at the top of this segment, Chris, without playoff wins in the last several years. So he wants to be able to not end his career on the note that he ended it on in 2020. And so, you know, we're used to the last probably 3 or 4 years, Ben Roethlisberger saying, you know what, maybe I'm done. Maybe I'm going to hang it up. And then he comes back on a radio show a couple weeks later and he says, you know what, actually, I'm not done. But we got the headlines out of it. He got the attention that he wanted and whatnot. Well, it was very and starkly different at the end of this season, where he made very clear and understood the realities of his cap hit situation, of the salary cap situation for the Steelers and the NFL at large, and realized, well, if I'm coming back, which I do want to, and I'm not going to play any more games, I'm going to have to tell the Pittsburgh Steelers, listen, I will take less money. So, you know, does he have to swallow some ego and some pride? Sure. Is it a lot easier for him to do it with 2 Lombardis and his legacy most certainly secured? Absolutely. So he wasn't going to go somewhere else and play for, you know, $12 million. I'm not entirely sure who would have really taken him this offseason anyway. He knew that if he wanted to play in 2021, he had to do it with the Steelers. And if he was going to play this season with the Steelers under his contract, then the Steelers, as we know them, would sort of cease to exist on the football field because they wouldn't have any cap space for anyone else. So he had to get a deal done if he wants to be competitive with this specific team in the 2021 season.
It would have been the largest cap hit for one specific player, over $41 million, but the Steelers announcing they've agreed to a new contract for this season for Ben Roethlisberger. That's Jonathan Jones joining us here on HQ. Much more on this in just a moment. Coming up at 4, the Pittsburgh Steelers are one of 4 teams that we are going to look at on our outlook for the offseason. We'll have Bryant McFadden, the 2-time Super Bowl champion from the Pittsburgh Steelers, join us along with Danny Cannell.
Do you want a sports network that delivers everything that matters about the game? The highlights, the picks, the instant analysis, no yelling, no fake debates, no politics. Hit the subscribe button and never miss a moment.